Chapter 2, Lesson 7 is percent of a number. Okay? So we want to scan the lesson and list two real-world scenarios in which we would use the percent of a number. So here are some examples. You might use the percent of a number to find the number of survey respondents that chose each option. You might use the percent of a number to find the amount of sales tax on an item. In a survey, 200 students chose their favorite snack. Use the table to find the number of students who chose each snack. Here, 23% chose fruit, right? 23 chose fruit. So if I look at the fraction percent is always per 100. Like cent, like in century. A century is 100 years, right? How many cents are in a dollar? 100, right? So per cent, that means per 100. Is everybody with me? So here, that's 23%. But they asked 200 students, right? So how would I make that 100 into a 200? Times 2, right? So we would multiply times 2 here. And if I multiply times 2 in the bottom, we would multiply times 2 in the top. So 23 times 2 is 46. So 46 out of 200 chose fruit. Is everybody clear with that? Yeah. All right. Here we want to find the percent of a number. Find the percent of a number. Now we are going to start taking notes in our spiral. These notes need to be in your spiral. So you can use fractions and decimal to find the percent of a number. To find the percent of a number, we want to write the percent as a fraction with a denominator of 100, and then we want to multiply the fraction by the number. Okay? So here, let's see. For example 1, let's write this down. So to find the percent of a number, you're going to write the percent as a fraction with a denominator of 100, and then you're going to multiply that fraction times the number. So for example 1, it says refer to the circle graph. Suppose there are 300 students at York Middle School. Find the number of students that have cheese as a snack. Okay? So what percent chose cheese as a snack? Here's cheese. 15% chose cheese, right? So, according to our rule up there, it says write the percent as a fraction with a denominator of 100. So 15% would be 15 out of 100. So there's your 15 over 100, right? Then it says multiply that fraction times the number. Here the number is the number of students that they surveyed. So how many students did they survey? 300, right? So we're going to multiply 15 over 100 times 300. So here we have 15 over 100 times 300. We're going to multiply our fractions straight across. But here, before I multiply, can I simplify? Yeah. So, let's see. 100 divided by 100 is 1. And then 300 divided by 100 is 3. So, 15 times 3 is what? 45 over 1, which is just 45, which is what we have right here. Is everybody clear? Method 2 is to write the percent as a decimal, okay? So here, 15% was 15 over 100, right? That's 15%. correct? Everybody read 15 over 100 correctly. 15 hundredths, right? So how do I write 15 hundredths as a decimal? 0.15, right? Now watch this. If I started with 15%, where's the decimal in that 15%? It's at the very end, right? So it's like right there. So look at this number, and look at this number. Look at that decimal. What happened to it? It moved back to the front. And how many places did it move? Two times. So, in order to change a percent to a decimal, all you have to do is move the decimal 2 places to the left. Is everybody with me? So 15% as a decimal is 0.15, and then we're going to multiply again times the number of students that we're surveying. So 0.15 times 300 again will give us 45. So it says, find the number of students at York Middle School that have chips as a snack. Okay? So let's do this with writing the percent as a fraction. Okay? So what percent chose chips as their snack? 18? 18% chose chips, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write that as a fraction, 18 hundredths. Very good. So we have 18 over 100. Okay? Now we're going to multiply that times the number of students that were surveyed. How many were surveyed? 300. So we're going to multiply times 300. And again, if you need to, you can put that over 1, right? You can put it over 1. So before I multiply, I can simplify. So 100 divided by 100 is 1. And 300 divided by 100 is 3. And then we will multiply straight across. So when we multiply straight across, we have 54 over 1, which is equal to 54 what? No. Students. Students. Very good. Students. All right, so percents greater than 100 and less than 1. Percents greater than 100 and less than 1. All right, so you may choose whether to write a percent as a fraction or as a decimal based on the problem. So if it's easier to write it as a fraction, then write it as a fraction. If it's easier to write it as a decimal, then write it as a decimal. So here for the first example, or for the example 2, it says find 145% of 320. Okay? So find 145% of 320. So here, what does of mean in math? Multiply, right? It means times. So this says 145% times 320. Does everybody see that? So when we rewrite that, here they wrote it as a fraction. Okay? So we have 145 over 100. I'm going to rewrite it over here. 145 over 100. And then we're going to multiply by the number, right? So here, times 320. So times 320. So now, when we multiply, before we multiply, we want to simplify, right? And then, of course, if you need to, you can put this over 1. So now we can do some simplifying. So here, what we did was we simplified 100 by 20, 100 and 320 by 20. So we got 5 down here and 16 up there. And then we said, oh look, we can simplify the 5 and the 145. So we divided both of those by 5 and we got 29 over 1. Now we multiply straight across and we got 464. 464 what? Oh wait, there's no label on this. It's just a problem. So a little correction on my long division. I brought down a 5, but I wrote 9 down there, and I should have written 5. Good catch. Who caught that? Zachary and Bryce. All right. So for the next one, for example 4, this is one where they changed the percent to a decimal, right? So here, take a look at the percent. Take a look at the percent. The percent has a decimal in it, right? Now, what did I say to you? How do I change a percent to a decimal? You just move the decimal 2 places to the left. So, here we have 0.25%. To change that to a decimal, we're going to take that decimal and we're going to move it boink, boink. And then that's how we ended up with 0.0025. Does everybody see that? Yeah. Okay, so now we change the percent to a decimal, and now we multiply, because of means multiply, times 58. Is everybody clear? All right, very good. So for the first example, we have 128% of 550. The first thing we want to do is we want to change that 128%, how about to a decimal? Okay? All right. So we've got 128%. Where is the decimal right now? It's at the end, right? It's right here at the end. Now, we want to move the decimal 2 places to the left. To the left. You're pointing that way. To the left. And then we take away the percent sign. So now, we're going to take that decimal, and what does of mean in that? Of means multiply, right? So we're going to take that decimal and we're going to multiply it 1.28, 1 and 28 hundredths, and we're going to multiply that times 550. Our final answer here is 704. So, because we did this one as a decimal, we're going to do letter C as a fraction. So, it's 0.3%, right? Always when we write percent, it's over 100, right? So, this is going to be 0.3 over 100, right? So, we have 0.3 over 100. Now, we want to multiply that times 200. So, times 200. Oops. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, now, you can put this over 1. And then we can multiply straight across, right? But before we multiply, we can simplify. Very good. So 100 divided by 100 is 1. 200 divided by 100 is 2. And when I multiply straight across, what is 0.3 times 2? 0.6 over 1, which is just 0.6. All right, so for letter C, the first thing we need to do is we need to change that percent to a decimal, right? So that's 0.3%. How do we change the percent to a decimal? To the left. Okay. 1, 2. There's my decimal. Add a 0 there and take away the percent sign. Okay? So now we have 0.003. So that's 3 thousandths. And of means times. And what are we multiplying by? 200. Very good. Multiplying times 200. So now we have 0.003 times 200. 200 times 0.003, right? So here we have the 3 times the 200, that's 600. We don't have to do those other two zeros. All we have to do is see how many numbers we have to have behind the decimal. So we have 1, 2, 3, and there's our final answer. So 0.003 times 200 is equal to?
0.60.
Do I need to put those trailing zeros? No. In a recent state Olympics meet, Franklin County sent a team of 70 players. 20% of the team competed in soccer. How many athletes competed in soccer? So, 20% of the 70 players, right? 20% of the 70 players competed in soccer. Does everybody see that in the words? Okay. So, if I have 20% of 70, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the 20%. Here they changed it to a decimal, right? So that's 0.2. Then we're going to multiply times the total number of people on the team, which is 70. So 0.2 times 70 is 14 played soccer. Is everybody clear with that? Let's do this example together. All right, in the same meet, 15% of the Delaware County competed in tennis. If there were 20 members on the team, how many competed in tennis? So on this one, we want to know 15% of what?
20 members.
Of 20 members. Very good. So the first thing we want to do, let's do this one as a fraction, okay? We want to write 15% as a fraction, so that would be 15 over 100. Very good. So we have 15 over 100. Of means multiply. Very good. Times. What are we multiplying times?
20.
20. Very good. And then if you need to, or if you'd like to, you can put that over 1. Now, multiplying straight across, but before we multiply, we should simplify. So, with 120, we can divide by 20. Very good. So 20 divided by 20 is 1. 100 divided by 20 is 5. Do you see anywhere else I can simplify?
15.
The 5 and the 15. You see that? So you can do some more. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 15 divided by 5 is 3. So now we can multiply straight across. And we have 3 times 1, which is 3, over 1 times 1, which is 1. So how many people competed in tennis?
3.
3 people.